Hello everyone. So welcome to my YouTube video. I'm just gonna explain one or like few of my threads posts today. Just because I thought that what I should do. There are like a lot of ideas, of course, but it's just I really want to make a really good a kind of my writing routine of how I write, where I'm just sitting there and just writing, and I'm concentrating, and there's like no distractions whatsoever. So I just want to make it really like special. Yeah, of course it's not going to be like perfect, but it's just going to be like one of my ideal writing sessions. But this one is just, I'm just gonna like review one of like few of my like threads posts, just like because today I just didn't really write like valuable posts. I just sat there and wrote like the problems or the things that I had faced with my writing journey. It's been 3 years since I've been writing like really consistently. Like I've been taking writing seriously, but it's been I think 1 year, that I've 1.5 years since I've like taken writing really into a kind of, or you could say like I stayed kind of consistent for like 1.5 year probably, and just wrote every single day. So that's what I have like kind of, how do you say it, noticed on my way, on my writing journey. So yeah, I asked a lot of people that, like what is the one thing they're stuck on, so I can like help them a little, or not like help them, but just kind of answers few questions, because I've been like kind of writing these questions, and on like every kind of posts that I've been doing recently, and I start with a question and then I just start like answering it, because it's just easier for me to have like a specific question and then answer it than just talking out of nowhere. So I've been like in Reddit or like in other social media kind of apps to find a lot of like writers' questions, so that I could be more specific about the problems that these young writers, or like just beginner writers have, or just writers in general, just to help them, not really help them, but I don't really have to say it, just be there for them, just kind of share my own like journey, or kind of share my own like experiences. And these are the things that I've like really thought about and just wrote down and then posted. And today I just thought, like, didn't really had any idea of any writing thing, like like kind of tips or questions in specific. So I just went there and like asked, and a lot of them like were really kind and just told me, what their problem was, and I tried my best to kind of answer it. But yeah, I just okay. So this one is like something I didn't really see till now. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool that people are kind of trying to find more writers who share their same problems and their same kind of struggles or whatever. And that's why it's really good to have this kind of a community to kind of post your own life. Because, for example, there are like a lot of communities for a lot of specific kind of people. And for writers, I've never really seen, it's a lot like anonymous, you know, and it's completely fine and okay, but I just didn't really find one when I needed one, so I just thought, okay, this might be something cool to do. And yeah, just getting to know other like writers and just kind of talking about the same thing, if that makes any sense. So yeah, there was like a question, not a question, but like there was something that someone posted, like the lack of probably discipline and motivation is like what's stopping them, what's like, you know, kind of something that is like getting on their way, whatever. And I just answered it pretty simple with, you know, the fact that most people wait for motivation and just want to kind of, you know, wait for like a magic idea to pop up. But those kind of stuff, I mean, it happens, but it happens once in a while, you know. It's like not happening every single day. But the thing is, it's like writing is kind of like also a discipline thing, you know. People who are like writers like full time, they probably like know that it's like you come and write every single, and I mean, even though I'm not like a, you know, someone who like writes every single, and not like full-time job, whatever, I'm going to school, you know, I go to school, but I do write every single day. But it's just sometimes I don't really have the energy, which is probably these two are kind of connected, you know. Yeah, I like, just like I said, you know, there's, you cannot really wait for motivation, because motivation is something that pops once in a while, and right, like discipline is something that you have to build, you know, with consistency. And if you're consistent, then I think you can overcome anything. And it's not just for writing, it's for basically anything else. And writing becomes kind of like a habit, you know, like a habit, and you will get eventually very like good ideas about, you know, certain, you know, your book. And it just, you cannot really explain it, but it, all of these things that you're running after, like motivation and those kind of stuff, if you're being consistent with your writing every single day, then those things are gonna run like after you, because that's just how it works, you know. And yeah, here I just said that like my whole like writing routine, probably not routine, but just how like my day looks like, you know. It's just like going to school, coming back. Most of the time I'm tired, you know, because then I go probably to gym, and then come back, like have my own kind of, you know, homeworks, learning for exams, like taking care of myself in some like ways, spending time with my family. And writing is the last thing I do on a day, because I just want all of the ideas from like my whole day to kind of be kind of out for my book, if that makes any sense. And that's what I do. So I just sit there, and sometimes it's just like 30 minutes, sometimes like an hour, sometimes it's 15 minutes or 10 minutes, you know, because that's like how much my brain can like process these kind of things. And just, you know, that's how much my brain kind of takes energy, you know, to kind of bring these thoughts into paper. So it's not about how long you do it, I think. Like, not like that, but it's not about, you know, sitting there for like hours and just write like, or not write at all, just think. Or it's just sitting there for like 10 minutes but getting every single idea out on the paper. And I think that's also better, because I think there was like a picture, you know, here somewhere. Here. So yeah, this is me. 30 minutes daily keeps you happy and consistent. And yeah, 2 hours daily burns you out, it kills the habit. That's something that I've like experienced myself. It's just something that is so true, because the more you exaggerate something, exaggerate those feelings, exaggerate those thoughts, and writing is such a hard kind of thing. We underestimate it a lot because it's mental and you cannot really see it. So that's why people really underestimate it. But it's like it takes a lot of energy and brain points, and if you're gonna like exaggerate it every single day for like few weeks or months, you're gonna get burned out very hard, kind of in a hard way, because this happened to me while I was writing my third book. I think it was 1.5 years ago. I was writing every single day for like 6 months, and while doing that, I had to better my like grades. I had to kind of get my grades up, and because I was not doing really well in school, and I did get my grades up, and I did that was like being very consistent with gym, and I was like learning for exams. I was like doing homeworks, being good at school, going to the gym, writing a book, and I finished that book like in 6 months, and I was doing all of these things like except for the gym, in the living room. I was like sitting in the living room, and while everybody else like in my family, because I was like having this feeling, okay, I'm lonely if I just sit there alone. If I go and get up and go to a room where like there's no one, and just write. I just thought, because writing is such a lonely thing, you just need, you're kind of like alone with your own thoughts and words. And I was just in the living room sitting there while everybody else was like watching things and yeah, talking, whatever, because I never didn't really want to miss out on this like family time. But yeah, for 6 months I did those things. I stayed consistent, and I thought, okay, I'm like doing so great. I did like better like my grades, and like stayed with my family. Not like spend time with my family more, and bettered some things, like my self-care routine, whatever. But it just burned me out so bad, because after 6 months I didn't want to write a book like anymore. It was just so hard for me to just sit there and like write, because it just burned me out so badly, and it took me probably another 6 months to recover from that burnout and just sit there and write, because just like I said, it's so weird, and we don't really talk about those burnout like moments anymore. Not anymore, but just in general, we don't really talk about those times where you get burned out. And I wish I like had started doing you things before, like during the time of like being out, just to like share those feelings more, and just explain it. I'm not experiencing those things anymore, so I cannot really deeply get really attached to it and then talk about it so much. But I did really experience. I think it was one of the worst times in my life, because I was blaming myself for not being consistent enough, for not writing anymore, for not giving my 100% to anything. And I was not just like burned out from writing, it was from every single thing. So I didn't went to gym for like a month, or I just like was like laying down on the couch, because it's just a really bad feeling, because you kind of compare yourself to your past self, and it's something that is bad in a lot of ways. And I had like pimples all over like my face, and I had like I was like sleep deprived. I didn't appetite, I lost my appetite, and I didn't really hydrate myself anymore. yeah, I was like talking, and of course they understood, of course, but it's just you kind of feel like this guilty feeling, and because it's not their fault, you know, and it's not your fault. It's just you took something to, like, you exaggerated it, and that's why those kind of exaggerations are not really healthy, you know. You always have to have this kind of like, you know, thing, mindset, you know, 70%, not 100%. You don't give your like 100% to something. You should only give, you know, like 70%, because after a while you'll get like burned out, and that's not healthy, you know, for yourself. Because, and if you're gonna like write every single day for like 2 hours, and if, especially if you're a beginner, you know, then you, after like a while, you don't want to see a book, like, you know, a docs page, whatever, not anymore, because then you, it's just how I felt. And that's why I think you should start with a very little amount. I started with 10 minutes a day, and then I kind of, you know, sometimes I just still like, there's a lot of days where I just write for like 10 minutes a day, and it's like really cool days, you know, because I get a lot of ideas. And yeah, it's if you think about it, it's really, those simple ideas or those kind of stuff, they're like the better ideas than the complex ones, because people want to hear like simple stories. No one really wants to hear like a complex, I don't know, the stories that you only understand and your audience don't. So like the greatest stories are kind of the ones that have a specific person, like a main character, and then like a hero journey or like another journey, whatever. It's just those ones. And yeah, for everyone it might be different, but it's just, I think that, yeah, you have to kind of make it easier for you and simple, so you kind of stay there, stay on the floor, on the floor, yeah. And it's like a whole marathon, you know. You like, you're running like a, like sprinting. You're not sprinting, you're like jogging. It's like kind of a marathon. So yeah, or sometimes you walk. That's, I don't know if, yeah. Yeah, so this happened to me so much with the fact that I just didn't like the story so much. I just didn't really like the story anymore. I just thought, okay, I'm like really interested in this, like, you know, story, and this idea, and I just want to continue it. But then after like half of the book done, I'm just sitting there, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't have any other ideas left, and I just wanted to like stop the whole like story. But it's just, you have to kind of make it better for yourself. And then my brother told me that I should like make a visualizer, which is one of the coolest things I've ever done. And then I made this. Myros is probably the best kind of tool for like visualizers, and I made this visualizer for like my book, and I made another one for my third book. Like this was probably 1.5 years ago. Yeah. So whenever I don't get ideas, I just come here. Like, I'm always on this, like, you know, page, because I just like to look at these pictures, and I get so many like kind of, yeah, I just like so many ideas. And just, it's crazy how by just looking at certain pictures you can have so many ideas. You get inspired, and you have to have those, you know, all of these pictures I got from Pinterest. Really cool tool. But yeah, how many, yeah. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I just wanted to kind of talk more about these like posts. I hope you liked it, and yeah, I just wish you good luck.